Hi Sagittarius, and welcome to your December 2024 horoscope. I know that it maybe feels like 2025 is still a good chunk away. However, I wanted to let you know that my books are open for the 2025 year ahead readings. They are at a heavily discounted price, and I only have 5 slots available. So make sure you check out the link down in the description box and in the comments. On December 1st, we have a new moon in your sign and in your first house. This means that you're starting a new chapter of your identity, a new chapter of making sure that you stand up for yourself and that you set clear boundaries with others. I won't get more into this new moon just for now, for the sake of time, but I will leave this dedicated horoscope that I did just a couple of weeks ago for this new moon so you can learn everything about it. A couple of days later, on December 4th, we have the Sun squaring Saturn. This square is happening in your angular houses, so you might feel this transit a lot more than the other zodiac signs. You might especially feel like some of your limiting beliefs, some of your emotions, something in your internal world is holding you back from setting boundaries and from really establishing yourself as your own unique individual. A couple of days later, on December 6th, we have Mars going retrograde in your 9th house. Keep in mind that while Mars is in retrograde, it will also come back into the sign of Cancer or your 8th house. So you will most likely see the themes of both of these houses come up during the retrograde. So while Mars is retrograding up until February 2025 to be exact, you might feel quite frustrated in these two areas of your life. You might find that the actions that you're taking are just sort of stopping, and you might have to start again, and they just for one reason or another don't get anywhere. So there's a lot of this stop and go action. And again, because this is affecting your 9th and 8th house, you might especially find that you have this frustrating stop and go action with your intimate relationships, with your vulnerability. And you might also have it maybe with your travels. Perhaps some plans are being canceled, and then, oh no, they're not canceled. Oh yes, they're canceled. Or it might also be happening with any education programs that you might be following, any knowledge that you're trying to intake. Please be patient with yourself during this time. There's honestly not much we can do besides just waiting it out. So do keep in mind that this is just for a season. Once February rolls around, we can hopefully get back and start working on those actions. The next day, on December 7th, we have Venus entering the sign of Aquarius. And as it does that, it conjuncts Pluto. On the same day, we have the Sun opposing Jupiter. Because both of the good planets, Venus and Jupiter, are in challenging aspects during this day, you might find that this is quite a challenging day for you as well. You might find especially that there's something happening with your partnership that are making things a little bit difficult. Things are just not jiving there for the time being. It's not feeling as sunshiny as it did before. And as a result, you have to really face your internal views and opinions of what communication means to you. How do you communicate? Do you communicate with hurtful words, or do you put intention behind your words? Do you think before you speak, or just blurt out? So we see this sort of external event causing a more internal thought process within you. The next day, on December 8th, Neptune goes direct in your 4th house. While Neptune was retrograde, you might have felt that a veil was lifted over your internal world, over your family, over your home. You might have started seeing your emotional world and realizing, it wasn't as peachy and rosy as I thought it was. There was some work to be done there. Now, however, because Neptune is going direct, you might be able to again zoom out and look at your internal world as something that is doing great, as something that's quite loving, supportive, and be able to romanticize it a bit again. Later in the month, on December 12th, we have an opposition between Venus and Mars. This is taking place in your 3rd and 9th house. So you might especially feel a pull between a part of you that wants to abstract everything, wants to make everything into a symbolic, philosophical discussion. And this other part of you that wants to keep things lighter, that wants to focus on the day-to-day actions or moments or happenings. So you might really feel these two parts being pulled in different directions. Finally, we get to the middle of the month, so on December 15th. And on this day, we have a full moon in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is your 7th house, so you are reaping the benefits of the things you have sowed in your relationship. If you have been acting out of pure intentions, with pure thoughts, pure is a big word, but if you've been acting aligned with what's true to you and what makes you happy and what makes you feel fulfilled, then you will see the positive results of that. However, if you've been making decisions in your partnership based on something else, based on pride, based on ego, based on status, you will also see the consequences of that during this full moon. Don't forget, I do post in-depth new moon and full moon horoscopes when it comes a little bit closer to the date. So if you want to make sure you learn more about this full moon in Gemini, then make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss the video when it comes out. A couple of days later, on December 20th, we have Venus trining Jupiter. This is finally a more positive aspect, a more easy-flowing aspect. For you, it's affecting your 3rd and 7th house. So we see that some of that hard work you were doing, considering, okay, how do I communicate? What is happening there? Why are things going wrong when I try to communicate? We see that now you're reaping the benefits of that. Perhaps you are slowly starting to find the right way of communication with your partner, and that's having a positive effect on your relationship. The next day, on December 21st, the sun enters your 2nd house, or the sign of Capricorn. So if you want to feel rejuvenated, ready to jump out of bed in the mornings, from the 21st onwards, you should be focusing on your finances, or you should be focusing on your self-esteem and your self-respect. We are almost there. We have just 3 more transits to get through in the month of December. One of them is the square between Jupiter and Saturn happening on December 24th. This is a square taking place in your angular houses. So Sagittarius, you might especially be feeling this square. And we see that your relationships are up for discussion again. And we see that the work that you've been doing on your inner world is somehow challenging your relationships. Perhaps you're realizing as you're working on yourself, going through your practices, whatever they may be, you start to realize that there are certain things you need in a relationship. And that challenges how you've done things with your partner up until that point. And maybe some things need to change. Then on December 28th, we have a square between Venus and Uranus. Venus is in your 3rd house. Uranus is in your 6th house. With Uranus in the 6th house, you've been finding your unique way to take care of your body and your health. Not what society defines for you, getting up at 5 a.m. and drinking celery juice, for example, but maybe your own unique definition of it. However, on the 28th, we see that perhaps something in your local environment is challenging this. Perhaps you have a unique definition of wanting to do CrossFit, and that's something that makes you feel really good. But you find that there is no CrossFit gym anywhere close to where you live. Again, this is a very specific example. Hopefully, it gets your head going into how this could manifest for you. But in general, we see this tension between the local environment, our neighbors, our siblings, perhaps they're influencing us to live a certain way, to do certain things with our health routine, versus what we have established as our own aligned way to take care of ourselves. Finally, we get to the last transit of the month, which happens on December 30th, and it's a new moon in the sign of Capricorn. For you, Sagittarius, this is your second house. So we see that you are starting a new chapter when it comes to your finances. You might be feeling especially rejuvenated. You might have some ideas on how to improve your financial situation. So Sagittarius, I hope you are looking forward to December and all of the growth opportunities that we have in the month ahead. For you specifically, we do see a couple of very strong themes coming up. Your relationship is one of them for sure. We also have your inner world. You're definitely working on figuring out how you're feeling, what's going on inside, the way you communicate, of course, and we even see some focus on your finances as well. Thanks for joining me, Sagittarius. And don't forget, 2025 is just around the corner. It will come here before you know it. So if you want to make sure that you get your own personalized 2025 year ahead reading, then make sure you click on that link down below in the description box or in the comments. I hope to see you again soon.